welcome back to my channel. I am the Mass Trans and you are watching me, baby. Now before we get today's video started, I just want to give a quick what's up to my peeps and a diabolical middle finger to the creeps. You know who you are. Good morning, guys. It is Tuesday morning. Got about an hour before I have to go to work. So of course I wanted to come and run my mouth before I got my day started. Busy day at work, meetings all morning long. I actually have to host one of these meetings, so there's that. But I'm not here to talk about me. I want to talk about this Dave Chappelle thing. This thing has legs, baby. And today, one of the Netflix CEOs basically came out and co-signed Dave's Netflix The Closer special. People were hoping that all of this hubbub, would somehow get the special pull from Netflix. Now, you know what? I don't even understand. In 2021, what's the purpose or what's the benefit of having the special pull from Netflix, right? At this point, the damage is done. Whether you agree with what he said, disagree with what he said, or fall somewhere in the middle, it's been said. So pulling it at this point for me just does nothing to, and pulling it, in my opinion, almost helps to give it a greater sense of prominence, if that makes any sense, right? It's just like, because people are really attracted to things that they're not supposed to see, right? And so when you pull this special and no longer make it a, sorry guys, this is called. So I don't quite understand the purpose of having it pulled, but for some people, I guess it's more about the symbolism of having it pulled than it is about what it will mean in terms of the dissemination of the information from the special. Here's my position. I've said it once before. When it comes to some of the things that Dave said, I thought it was funny. I thought some of it was funny. I thought some of it was ignorant. One of the things that I did not really particularly find funny was when he says that gender is a fact. And if you watch my previous video, when I talk about intersex people, those who are essentially born with both male and female genitalia, that in itself is proof positive that gender is not a fact. That is the physical manifestation, if you will, of gender dysphoria. So if the genitalia can get cross-wired, what makes you think that the mental can't be cross-wired? The emotional can't be cross-wired? I don't understand why people just can't understand that simple thing. But again, so much of what people believe is rooted in piety, is rooted in dogma, so they refuse to believe that, right? If I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, people would be like, oh, okay, she's schizophrenic. If I was diagnosed as bipolar, people would say, oh, she's bipolar. They would get that. Everything with the exception of gender dysphoria. People understand. Like, I wish... it just blows my mind that people think that trans people just wake up one day and want to be part of a marginalized group. Like, why would anyone choose that? How does that make sense? And how is that a logical conclusion for you to come to? I don't get it. But you know what the problem is? The problem is we live in an entire society of sheep, right? People who live their lives coloring inside the lines, right? Going along to get along, doing what they're expected to do, getting married at a certain age, having kids at a certain age, buying a home at a certain age. They're following these societal norms. And so for them, it is unfathomable, inconceivable that anyone could possibly be audacious enough to the point that they actually live life on their own terms and conditions, that they actually follow their calling. And for me, that is really what is at the center of a lot of the misunderstanding as it relates to trans people. Like, how dare you? Are you crazy? Do you not see all of this normalcy out here? Do you not see all of these normal people? And here you go out here just, being an aberration, an anomaly? What's wrong with you? And I think that that's why a lot of people have a very hard time grasping the existence of trans people, because people aren't used to living their lives. People, for the most part, are used to existing. And the one thing that you must understand when you see a trans person is that this is the living embodiment of living your life. Because for me to be trans means I bucked everything. I bucked everything. When you become trans, you have to be willing to say F you to the family, or at the very least certain members of the family, F you to possible career opportunities, F you to possible relationships, F you to everything. F you to society at large. That's what you have to be willing to do. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. People are afraid to leave their jobs. People are afraid to leave their relationships. People are afraid to step outside of their norms. And so when you hear Dave Chappelle talk and speak on stage in The Closer, For a lot of people, that gives them comfort in knowing that, okay, it's okay for me to be normal, for me to be pedestrian. But those other people there who dare color outside the lines, they are the problem. Listen, again, there's just so many things that I don't understand. Like, one of the things that really bothers me is that how did Dave Chappelle become the spokesperson for the trans experience? I'm confused. I'm confused. I have never known. I don't know Dave's medical history, but as far as I've known, he's never taken a hormone. He refused to wear a dress at one point in time when he was asked to. So as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't have any idea of what the trans experience is. But people hold on to what he says tooth and nail as if it's gospel. Dave doesn't know the trans experience. So it's just so mind-blowing to me that people really think that what he says is factual. And then when trans women speak up and tell you about the trans experience, they discount everything that we have to say. I can't with these people. I can't. I saw an interview recently where Flame Monroe was on CNN with Don Lemon, and she was basically saying that essentially one of the problems that the trans community is having is that we are so angry and so disgruntled that we can't come to the table and have conversations. Now, I don't know Flame, right? And I don't necessarily have feelings about her personally, but I'm just gonna keep it a buck with y'all. I don't appreciate very much of anything she has to say, because honestly, I feel a lot of what comes out of her mouth is really self-serving. I'm just gonna say what I have to say. Self-serving in the sense that because Flame has to move around in these comedic circles, she's very careful about the words that she chooses, because she, again, does not want to alienate her bag, and I get that, right? But here's my thing. If you're not gonna keep it a buck, then just don't say anything at all. Don't say anything at all. Quit hopping on these Don Lemons and these Breakfast Club shows and speaking about the overarching trans experience. Whatever Flame's experience is, she can certainly speak to that. I can't tell her what her experience is and what she cannot speak to. But I know pretty much none of what she has to say about the trans community relates to me. Case in point. She's on Don Lemon talking about how trans women, again, are disgruntled and angry, and we go to the table with our fists balled. And that's part of the reason why there's no understanding. Girl, you can't be serious. You cannot be serious. And then when they ask her about what the baby said, then it's all of a sudden, well, I don't see what he said wrong. Okay, girl, I'm done talking to you. I'm done talking to you, because this is a case of victim blaming in my point. It's like I went out on a night in town, had a few drinks, wore a short skirt, and because someone took advantage of me, in a way that I did not approve of, suddenly it's my fault because I got drunk and wore a skirt. It's not my fault. So when people come, and I know his name is the baby, but people continue to want to coddle this man, right? The baby. You just need to talk to him. You just need to talk to him. Like, what? Are you serious? We need to humble ourselves and go and sit down and have a talk with the baby? No. First of all, it's just so crazy to me. First of all, how do you have a conversation with a person who has hubris the size of the baby's? You heard what the baby said after he made the comments at Rolling Loud. So that's who you want me to go, excuse me, baby, I'm the man trans, I'd like to have a conversation. It's gonna be, you want me to go have a conversation with this? You cannot be serious. Asking me, as a trans woman, Flame Monroe, to go to these tables and sit down and humble myself and talk to people who have disrespected me at every single opportunity is the equivalent of a white man spitting in my face and then you asking me, why didn't I give him a napkin? You have lost your mind. You have lost your mind. Now listen, I'm not above having a conversation, a dialogue, an exchange. Absolutely, I think those are very important to move the movement forward, to move understanding forward. I get that. But the olive branch works in both ways. How do you expect trans women to have a conversation with people who don't even want to acknowledge their very existence? How do you expect trans women to have a conversation with a man like Dave Chappelle, who essentially said that gender is a fact, so therefore trans women don't exist? How do you expect to have a conversation with men who are so toxically masculine that they're even afraid to be photographed near a trans person? How is that conversation going to happen? How is it going to happen? It's not trans women that are the problem here. Now, is there room, an opportunity for growth? Because here's the thing, right? I don't believe in this whole one-sided, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. I am the queen of introspection. I am the queen of introspection. If you're trying to grow, the first thing you need to do is go buy yourself a mirror. And you need to look in it. I'm talking to everybody. Black, trans, cis, what have you. Look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, who are you? What do you believe in? What are your values? Because I can tell you, right? For me as a trans woman, my value, for me as a human being, my values are to be kind, understanding, and to put positivity into the world. I don't have a hate of, listen, every man, every last man that I have been in a relationship with has been a black man, okay? My brothers, my uncles, my father, black men, okay? So, my mother, a black woman, my aunts, black women. I love black, all things black, all things black. And beyond that, I love all things kind, right? I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever. To me, in the space that I live in, a good person is a good person. I don't have time for all of that, white devil stuff and black people, because some of the most malicious things that have happened to me and throughout the course of my life have happened at the hands of black people. Some of the best things that have happened to me in my life have happened at the hands of white people. Some of the worst things that have happened to me have happened at the hands of white people. And some of the most amazing things that have happened to me have happened because of black people. So you know what that tells me when I take a composite of all of that? It tells me at the end of the day that it doesn't matter what the complexion, what the melanin is going on with you. All of that stuff is immaterial to what your character is. Who are you as a person? Who are you as a person? So, this Dave Chappelle special, the closer. Trans women, do not be bent out of shape about this special, because let me tell you something. What Dave said in this 1 hour special, if you were ignorant before the special, you will be ignorant during the special, and you will be ignorant after the special. The special, in my opinion, didn't move the meter either way. Didn't move it either way. And don't be distracted by what Dave Chappelle has to say. Because, again, who is Dave Chappelle? Who is he? Like, people are giving so much power to the words of Dave Chappelle. And for me, he's just a chain-smoking comedian who knows absolutely nothing about me. So why would I have my day, my life, my experience impacted by anything he has to say when he really doesn't have an impact and influence over me? I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Quit putting your energy on Dave Chappelle. Quit putting your energy on canceling this special. And focus your energy back into the community. Focus your energy back into you, because you deserve that attention. The attention that you're giving to Dave Chappelle in this ignorance is attention really that you deserve. Now, I'm really curious to see. I know Dave said at the end of the special that he was done. I don't know how he could be after this. I don't know how he could be done talking about the trans community after this. Because the amount of fallout as a result of this special, if he gets on stage to do another special and doesn't broach this subject, how do you not? How do you not? And I would love to see people put the same amount of pressure on DaBaby and Dave Chappelle's and the Lil Boosies and T.I.'s, what have you, to have them come to the table and have a forum with trans women of color in particular. I saw a young lady who created a video the other day where she was essentially doing this, I want to say her name was Mia Brad, I don't remember her name, something like that, on TikTok. And she was talking about like only 28 trans lives were murdered, and she thought that when she went to go look, she was going to see this huge number. When you are such a small populace as the trans community, 28 is a lot, sis. It's only 5 of us. It ain't but 5 of us. 28 is a lot. That's a lot of people. And 28 is only the tip of the iceberg. Underneath there, you have a lot of people who may not have been, who may have been misgendered. A lot of cases they may have gone unreported. So when you see that number 28, these are just the ones that we know about. And quit playing trauma wars. Quit playing trauma wars. Quit trying to trump my trauma. You know, my trauma is greater than yours because of this, and your trauma is lesser than mine because of this. Trauma is trauma. If I'm in pain, hear my pain, and when you're in pain, I'm here to hear yours. And in this video, she also talked about all of these LGBTQIAP plus groups who don't speak up for issues that are related to black women. Huh? First of all, black community, this is what y'all need to understand. When the baby Dave Chappelle, all of these groups are getting pushback from the LGBTQIAP plus community. Please know this, that includes members of the Black community. Now I know because, some of you feel like we're LGBTQIAP plus, that we've somehow turned in our Black card and said, here, I'm renouncing my Blackness. But that's not the case. That's not the case. LGBTQIAP plus is not a race. It's not a race. Okay? Can we be clear about that? So when GLAAD or HRC or whomever is speaking up and speaking out about anti-LGBTQIAP plus rhetoric, they are also speaking up for a percentage of the Black community. Now, it may not be a percentage that you respect, but we are still here. We are still viable members contributing to the overall overarching Black experience. So get that in your head, first of all. GLAAD is not talking for only white people. I saw one special also, I think it was on the Roland S. Martin. I don't remember the man's name, but he was basically talking about the LGBTQIAP plus organizations being helmed primarily by white men, right? And I get what he's saying there. I definitely think that there needs to be more inclusion in terms of race at the tops of some of these organizations. Maybe when that happens, the population at large will understand that LGBTQIAP plus is not a race. It's not a race. So yes, when you hear these organizations speak out, so this comparison, this is what I wanted to say. This comparison between LGBTQIAP plus's responses to DaBaby and Dave Chappelle, it's a false equivalency in the sense that these organizations, their work is dedicated to LGBTQIAP plus issues. Just like, a Black women's organization is specifically dedicated to that of Black women. So I don't know how you want this to work. At the end of the day, here's what I know for sure. My trauma is greater than your trauma isn't doing anything to bridge the gap or bridge the divide. The way that you fix the divide, in my opinion, is just to respect other people's position, expect another person's experience. You have the right to feel any way that you want to feel. If you believe that gender is a fact, I'm not here to change your mind. I disagree. But I'm going to disagree and go to work and clock in, and I'm done with it. I'm done with it. But if you want to believe that gender is a fact, then you have at it. The problem is, for a lot of people, it just doesn't stop at gender is a fact. It goes there and beyond. Whew. It's a lot, you guys. It is a lot to watch everything that's happening here. Not just in terms of this Dave Chappelle. I just feel like the world as a whole is just in a very dark place. I feel like women's rights, look at what's happening down in Texas, right? Women's rights are under assault. Women feel like they're not being seen, and for some reason, some of their diminished visibility they attribute to the trans community. We had Trump in office for 4 years, and we all know what a mess that was. We have all of the drama surrounding the COVID-19. I mean, the world is just in a very dark and troubled place. And I don't think that Dave's special necessarily added any light to it. But I don't think it took away any either. I am right there in the middle on the Dave Chappelle. There were definitely things that I found funny. Oh, this is one thing I wanted to say before I go. Remind me, I was talking about the things that I found funny. The girl Mila Bratt, she said in her in her TikTok video that Dave's point of his special was that DaBaby had committed all of these infractions prior to offending the gay community, but suddenly when he offends the LGBTQIAP plus community, his career is just done. Here's the thing. Black people wouldn't allow DaBaby to be canceled. It wasn't LGBTQIAP plus people. I don't buy DaBaby. Don't watch DaBaby. Don't listen to DaBaby. He has not received one mass trans dollar, right? But if you look at his concerts, full of Black men and women, but somehow she believes that, and Dave Chappelle believes that it's the Black people who didn't have, that it's the trans or the LGBTQIAP plus community who's responsible for this cancellation. How is GLAAD responsible for him shooting someone in Walmart? How is GLAAD responsible for him punching a Black woman in the face? Where are the Black women who should have been boycotting him long term, who did not? Same thing with R. Kelly. But I don't understand how this false equivalency is being made that suddenly the LGBTQIAP plus community is responsible for the boycotts that are non-LGBTQIAP plus related. Now listen, I'm many things, right? I'm black, I'm trans, and I'm a woman. I am a black trans woman, irregardless as to how you may see me. So I stand up for women's rights. When the Gabby Petito case was all over the news, one of the first videos that I made as it relates to Gabby Petito was talking about missing Native and missing black women. Yes, yes. When the We Spot incident happened, even though the Cubana Angel lady was extremely transphobic in my opinion, and I had lots of questions about what she said, I could never say with 100% conviction that I thought she was lying. I was just like, look, I'm not quite sure. I had questions about it. But I didn't necessarily say, oh, she's lying. And I also spoke up on behalf of women who have concerns about male genitalia and female spaces. I speak up about those issues because I understand that it's a two-way street. Right? When black men are being killed by police unjustly, I speak up for that. I have yet to see a black community en masse gather around a black boy who was gay bashed, a trans woman who was the victim of a hate crime. You don't see it. What was the young man's name out in Philadelphia? Please comment below if you remember. There was a young man out in Philadelphia probably about maybe 2 years ago. I want to say like a Marcus. Oh, I don't know what his name is. I'm not going to even try. But whoever this young man was, he was the impetus for Malik Yoba coming out and saying that he was attracted to trans women. And in this video, this young man, somehow, the boys around the way, found out that he was dating a trans woman and took this boy through it. Disrespected him at every possible turn. And much like Daphne, he decided that this world was too much for him. It was too much for him. And so he left on his own terms and conditions. Gone too soon. But black people don't see that because for black people, it's just like, I talk about the young man down in Atlanta, I believe, who had the word, gay shaved in the side of his head and was being punched in the chest by his big brother. There was a situation, I want to say also down in Atlanta, where there was a gay couple at their mother's home who were sleeping in the middle of the mother's living room. The mother's boyfriend, who was clearly homophobic, goes to the stove, boils water, and takes and throws scalding hot water on them while they're sleeping. But people in the black community want me to believe that transphobia and homophobia is somehow not a problem. Violence in general is a problem, right? Trans on trans violence, black on black violence. Violence in general is a problem. That's why I don't play with y'all. I don't got no time to be fighting. I don't have no time to be fighting. That's why you go get you a license and you don't fight with them. You do not fight. So I hope, again, that the trans community as a whole don't be worried about this Dave Chappelle special. Don't. And also don't feel like you have to apologize for your existence. And in spite of the things that Flame Monroe thinks or says, don't feel like you have to capitulate and go bow to ask for acceptance and tolerance. F them. F anyone who does not appreciate you. And this is not just for trans women, this is for everyone. F anyone who does not appreciate you. F anyone who does not value you. F anyone who does not see the beauty in you. The clock is ticking on your life. Every single day, every single moment. And when you give this energy to these things that do not serve you, you are only adding to your trauma. Live your best life. Go out. Find what your passions are. Because let me tell you something. I'm going to leave the video on this note. The one thing I know for sure is that looking good and living well is the best revenge. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Looking good and living well is the best revenge. You don't have to fight with people. You don't have to get upset. You don't have to boycott. You don't have to do all of this extra stuff that they want you to do to make you feel like you don't matter. Matter to you. Okay? Matter to you. Protect you. Don't be a victim. Be prepared for the ignorance when it comes your way. If you look at all the people influenced out here by Donald Trump and how these people are, not taking vaccines and believing QAnon theories, you know that these people out here are easily influenced by what they hear and what they see. So don't you give your time and energy to things and people who do not deserve it. That time and energy belongs to you. In the words of Maxine Waters, baby, reclaim your time. Okay? All right, you guys, that is it for this video. Please do me a huge favor. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always in closing, baby, ask yourself this one poignant question. Why be bitter when you can be better? So let's be better together. I'm the Nash Friends, and I'll talk to you guys again in my next video. Mwah. Bye-bye.